evening, everybody. It's Saturday night, 10 o'clock. It's Kim Ochelli on Jaded. Sorry, I'm really tired today, so forgive me if I sound a little kooky, but that's all right. Anyway, it's cold. It's raining. I really hate this shitty weather. You know, what do you think?
Well, you know, it is what it is, but gee, you know, let's discuss weather and weather modification and things for a minute. But what about the dancing Israelis with the snow, right? Thanks, guys. Appreciate that last show.
I don't really care about the dancing Israelis. I'm sorry. I don't. Anyway, what's going on? Anything interesting? Oh, you know what I wanted to bring up? This is what I want to bring up. After we were talking about Ferguson and that other cop in Staten Island, I was watching, again, yes, the mainstream media news, but this poor guy was being interviewed. He was another victim of that, I can't remember, Panta something, that cop in New York that choked out that dude.
Oh, yeah, well...
I don't remember his name, the cop's name, because I don't think it's worthy to repeat, because he's an asshole, but he apparently abused some other gentleman who wasn't doing anything wrong. He pulled him over in his car, and he took him out of the vehicle, and he strip searched him in the middle of the street, and he's being sued. And nobody, you know, brought that up with the attorney or anything like that. He didn't want to say a word about it, and, you know, that's something that seriously needs to be looked at, because if he's done this before, he shouldn't even have been allowed to have his badge still, his gun, his uniform. He shouldn't even be anywhere near New York City. I'm surprised he wasn't killed.
Well, you know, this is part of the point when it comes to the, you know, the greater militarized police force out there at this point. You know, they make it, you know, part of the hiring practices, basically, to make sure that they got somebody who's going to be generally, you know, a bully, essentially, in blue. And you know what, guys out there, we do have the phones open, so if you want to join in the conversation.
Whoops,
it's
sorry.
Okay.
718-716. What is it?
718. Okay, start again. 718-717-8296.
There it is.
You can call on in, or if you're on the Charles Ochelli Skype list, because Kim just uses my Skype, so we don't have a problem turning over from one to the other. You know, you guys can jump in if you're on my Skype list, and it's wide open. So
yes, please do, because I can't ramble for 2 hours by ourselves tonight. I don't have enough to talk about. I'm so tired.
No, sure you can. You can always ramble. I just don't know what it'll sound like. So
but, anyway,
hey, same thing happens when I go on. You know, if all of a sudden a guest pulls out or my plans don't go quite well. You know, I just barely made it to air tonight for my show anyway. Of course, we were discussing a great many different topics on my show, but the things that are on your mind, this is your show, so you know.
Lots of things. Oh yeah, and then the other story too that involved the cops. I think it was out of Victoria, Texas. A cop pulled over this. I think he was like 73 or 76-year-old man, and because his registration was bad, his tags were bad. And when I had my first show, I was talking about how the policeman was, what do they do? Tag the plates while they're sitting in the parking lot. First of all, that should be illegal, I think, but whatever. And they pulled this guy out of the car. I think they threw him on the ground first, and then they tased him. And then it comes to find out that it's a dealer car. So they're exempt from having to worry about the tags being registered or something to that effect. And that could have happened to me. He could have tased me right there on the ground. I was like, that's another serious issue.
Well,
it's like every time you turn around, it's another thing that makes you go, You know? I'm tired of saying, And I'm tired of saying WTF to myself at least 25 times a day.
Well, right, and it's just it points to the greater hypocrisy regarding, policy enforcement as opposed to public service, where, I know it's antiquated and far too often repeated, but I mean, when you talk about the concept of protecting and serving, a community, that's no longer the point of policing. It's policy enforcement. It's revenue producers. I mean, this is what the whole thing is set up to do at this point, right? And regarding that situation with you, of course, you don't know how far that would have went because you happen to be, in a position where you were familiar with, some of the local law enforcement people, and of course we're talking about a situation that was in New Jersey, which we no longer live there, thankfully, because the tension pot, as it were, was boiling over, in my opinion, and I think yours as well. And, again, guys, if you want to join in the discussion and you don't just want to, type dancing Israelis into the chat room, and what have you, you can call in 718-717-8296 or Skype me directly. And if you're not on my Skype list and you want to be, well, Charles, the name Charles, .Ochelli, and if you don't know how to spell that, it's Ochelli, just in case you can't find it and figure out how to say it or spell it, OC, the word hell, and the letter I. So there you go.
Yeah, it is in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it is. That's why when Maria Heller's on my show, I always say it's the Hell Show, because both of our last names, as we present them to the public, which of course that is my legitimate last name, and Maria kept her husband's name, although her maiden name was Rubino, she kept the Heller name, as it were, so quite obviously, the word hell is in both of our names, so, meant to be like a hell-raising show, not any sort of praise to the evil one or anything like that, but,
I don't even remember my Skype number.
It's all right.
It's been so long since I've been on it, but, well, hopefully everybody's ready for whatever holiday it is that they celebrate, and, what's that? Well, Christmas is what? Thursday?
Well, right as we go off the air will be, the winter solstice will come in.
Right.
Despite popular beliefs out there, I have no idea when Hanukkah is coming. So
isn't it here?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Me either.
I can't even spell it anyway. I don't know. I don't know how to spell it. Well, I think so.
Yes.
But I don't know how to spell it. I don't know much about it except, the menorah and the candles and all that. But whatever,
and they play with a dreidel.
I guess. Is that for Hanukkah specifically? I'm not even sure.
I don't know. I'm not Jewish, so I don't know.
Neither am I. But anyway, regardless of the fact that some people seem to think I have the Ochelli-Berg alter ego or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to bring him in. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not a problem. My throat's sore anyway. I mean,
Apologize.
But anyway, I didn't get to mention stuff that was coming up on the show, by the way. On the 25th, I will be broadcasting on Christmas Day.
I don't want to interrupt you, but Ann on 2319 said Happy Hanukkah from the Dancing Israelis.
L'chaim, okay?
That's funny. I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't want to be up on the building with the Dancing Israelis.
Oh, God. Isn't that character?
They'll beat me unmerciful and rub sand on my ass neck.
Oh, yeah. That's a funny shot.
And they'll leave me standing there in my own blood and piss.
Oh, God.
And it'll be terrible. All right.
Come on.
Sorry, I told you my throat's sore. I can't do it.
That's all right.
But anyways, on Christmas Day, actually, I'm going to do a show, a presentation with a gentleman who I'm not going to name just yet, but it's going to be all about the Antichrist and the Vatican. So let's enjoy that one. I'm also going to do a show on the 27th regarding the now 2 years past situation in Sandy Hook, the Newtown illusion, as it were. you might be surprised where I come down on that one, but we'll discuss it on the 27th. On the 3rd, I have Dean Hartwell coming up, who's an interesting author, and I think you guys will find that most enlightening because he actually put out a book recently called Questions I Wasn't Supposed to Ask. So we're going to explore some interesting stuff. A lot of interesting little excerpts. I don't know how much of it I can't really recall what I told you about it because I've been going through a lot of different things lately, and my brain is a flood with all kinds of stuff. So, in the new year, I've got some interesting people coming up. The only one I'm going to mention into January, although I am working on January's schedule, is Jim DiEugenio, who is the main guy over at Citizens for Truth in the Kennedy Assassination, CTKA.net. It will not be a Kennedy show exactly, though, ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned for that. Also, a show on Charles Manson coming up, which ought to be interesting. Because, a lot of people don't know this, but I did spend some time studying that guy, the case, and some of the extended family members. So we'll see if I can actually restore some audio and maybe even expose some stuff that I did when I was deeply researching and interacting with individuals back then. We'll see what I can prepare by then.
How old is that guy anyway?
Charles Manson, he's, let me think about this a moment. He's got to be pushing around 70 because I'm pretty sure he was like 30 years old when he was convicted. His exact age I don't remember, but I do recall having to go through negotiations trying to get tapes out of the prison system in California at one point, trying to get out some of his music, which was circulated in the underground. And a lot of people don't remember that, but there was later stuff. I mean, of course, we all heard, the garbage dump and dead puppies are no fun and all that kind of stuff in the underground music scene. And people are well aware of the fact that Guns N' Roses decided to cover one of his songs and all that good stuff. But at one point, when he was in the prison infirmary, there was a few tapes of guitar tracks and things that friends of mine and people that I work something to do with producing into, less than legitimate consumer goods, let's say, and Charlie had to sign off on certain things in order to allow certain things to happen. Otherwise, people that were devoted to him in a cult-type fashion would create some sort of backlash. So that's just a little preview of one of the things that'll be gone over. Plus, I'll discuss the situation regarding the prosecutor there in Los Angeles. And believe me, that's why one of the things I mentioned during my show is that, of course, the policing agency like the LAPD is one of those really wonderful, trustworthy organizations that, is going to spend loads of taxpayer money and time to examine whether Bill Cosby was roofing women long before roofies were fashionable. So, again, ahead of his time.
Yeah. How about that? Now his daughter came out, and she was on Facebook or something. She was defending her father. But, I mean, what do you expect them to do? Of course they're going to defend their husband, the wife, whatever her name is, Camille or something like that.
No, his wife, Camille.
Yeah. And, people say, if the husband is doing something like that, then the wife should know. And, not necessarily. That's not always the case. What was the name of that guy who molested all those students? That he's in jail now for like 150 years.
That could be many of dozens.
Oh, I can't remember his name, but
read about over the years.
I think his wife did know because you're watching your husband walk down into the basement, holding hands with a younger boy. Well, I mean, college age kids, but you don't question. The hell are you doing?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy who had the females captive.
No, that's another weirdo, but it was I can't remember his name. He was some old, from Penn State.
Oh, you're talking about this Sandusky dude.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, well, that's, and even so, when it comes down to this type of stuff with, children being trafficked and all this kind of thing, I mean, everybody, collectively cringes and of course, but, realistically, that stuff is all worldwide and interchangeable and just really, really bizarre ties to this kind of stuff. I mean, man, if you even take a look at some of the stuff that's been published, I mean, like the Franklin cover up and
right,
and stuff like, and that's the residual of what's been made available. But I mean, a lot of individuals have been dissuaded heavily from covering anything related to the pedophile rings that exist. Human trafficking is even one of those subjects that often is not even whispered about among people that handle media of any type. I mean, even in the so-called way out there crazy conspiracy world that that people like myself kind of swim a little bit in. The thing is, even there they don't really want to discuss those types of topics. So
yeah, they took down Paterno's statue too, I believe, because I think he had said something to.
Are you talking about Joe Paterno? See, there was the Sandusky thing, and
that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah, Paterno was the the coach, the great lauded coach there, and all that. And man, I'll tell you, it's weird to watch that stuff play out in the pop culture world because I distinctly recall. The South Park episode where the guy from Child Protective Services talk about all kinds of crazy things sort of converging into one amalgamation of bizarreness in the pop culture, right? Mm-hmm. You had these things converging together where the guy from CPS who is, illogically removing children from their homes, which happens every day in this country based on, statutory concerns and laws that aren't laws and people enforcing laws that have nothing to do with the legal system in general and circumventing the rights of individuals to control the destinies of their children. No, that stuff doesn't go on every single day. But the CPS guy shows up in South Park and starts telling, different jokes, and he's handing people his headshot because he's a stand-up comedian. And, then the jokes come up where it's like, oh, I'm awful for all the children in the community. And he's crying and he says, I'm even worse than a volleyball game at Penn State. All that's, remember that?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
that show makes me laugh. Well, we don't get that anymore because they took that away from our cable company.
Yeah, they did. And of course, Suzanne was mentioning the Up Network and having gotten its recent boost in the media spotlight and also becoming a greater cable channel. That was one of the things they actually added to the system here. And of course, we have to have television because effectively. They put that blocking filter on our access through the local cable company when we just wanted to have internet. So literally speaking, I could not access the CNNs and the C-SPANs and any of the informational networks. So yeah, I know you like the cooking channel, but it's just. Not my thing, the cooking channel. I'm sorry. I fall asleep watching people cook. And generally speaking, I mean, I have better ideas than I see on that damn channel. And so, all right. Anyway.
Well, some of them are pretty good.
Enough of that aside. I mean, look.
What do you mean enough of that aside? I like to cook.
No, fine. You want to talk about cooking? It's your show.
No, not really. I'm just saying.
You want to talk about cooking? You like cooking. I'm not pushing back against you. I just hate the friggin' cooking channels and food channels, and it's stupid to me. But then again, the Weather Channel's always been pretty stupid to me. So
the Weather Channel isn't even the Weather Channel anymore. They're talking about two fat men in a woods.
Well, right.
Forest or something.
Well,
what does that have to do with weather?
Well, the cable news network is now, the documentary channel, and Headline News is now the Forensic Files channel on at night, so it's almost like the old A&E network, which was arts and entertainment, used to have operas and things on it. Nowadays, it's reality shows and the Real Housewives of whatever trashy city we can possibly invade with a camera crew, and, what is it, the hip-hop and love, and God knows what else, man. I mean, it's so horrendously contaminated, the media, the entertainment, all this stuff. So,
Jules just posted a link. Chef Cook's girlfriend, ew.
Oh, we might have to go to that link.
We might.
And that's...
click on that, see what it says.
No, absolutely. And again, anybody wants to join in the conversation and not just listen to the ramblings of the Ochellis, you're more than welcome to do so by calling 718-717-8296.
Oh, that's nasty.
Go right ahead and join on in. Did you want me to read over this article? I mean, or do you want to read it?
Oh, I don't care. I'll read it. My eyes are blurry, but I'll read it.
No, please go ahead, because I think I'm losing my voice.
This guy, she was kind of pretty, too. Oh, that's a shame. Chef Marcus, I guess it's Volke, dismembers and cooks girlfriend before killing himself. Ew. What the hell is wrong with you? What does he look like? Let's see. Oh, wow. Ew, why was she with him?
This doesn't visually translate too well to radio, huh?
Oh, well, that's true. If you click on the link, you can see for yourself. Wow. She was pretty. She looks like she was a model or something. But,
she's one of the women that looks extremely artificial to me. Again, doesn't translate well to radio, so why don't we pick up the article there and see what we got?
Well, basically, what did he say? Ew. All right, hold on. Let me go to the top. All right. An Australian chef killed his Indonesian girlfriend in their apartment and cooked several parts of her dismembered body on the kitchen stove, police say. Marcus Volke, or Volk, 28, was caught by police boiling several parts of Mayang Prastio's body in chemicals. According to Brisbane Times, Volk fled and then reportedly used a knife to kill himself in an industrial bin near his Brisbane apartment. Let's see. The gruesome scene unfolded Saturday night when police responded to complaints about rotting meat smell. Oh, wow, that's just wrong.
Well, that's a common
big bowl of wrong.
Look, that's a common theme with the cannibal people. I mean, I studied the Jeffrey Dahmer thing pretty extensively.
That's a shame that they killed him, because I think they could have gotten a lot of information out of him.
What information are you going to get out of him?
Well, you can learn things, no?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if there was anything to learn there. But
I think there would have been.
You really think that something valuable could have been gleaned from that individual? Let's be nice.
Yeah.
Well, see, I don't.
You don't think they've learned anything from studying Charles Manson or any of Ted Bundy's out there?
Well, they haven't legitimately studied Charlie, anyways. To be honest with you, Ted Bundy. They didn't glean very much from him either. There was a lot of studies, and Dahmer was studied. I know that, to some degree. A lot of people don't remember, but I mean, this was part of the push for pornography will turn to murder and mayhem narrative that was being pushed by a lot of the the moral majority types back in the day when this guy was doing it. And of course the guy was killed, I'm pretty sure, in '94 because he actually appeared on one of my band's demos, and I remember having to explain that this is the dead guy who's on my demo. If you ever listen to if anybody ever goes to my SoundCloud account, which they don't, but if they ever did,
I do.
I know you do, but that. Listen, not to be mean, but it doesn't count very much that you decide you want to listen to my horrendous music.
I don't think it's that bad.
But the idea of cannibalism is not. I don't know. It doesn't creep me out like it creeps out a lot of other people. I just.
Ew.
I see.
So I have to worry about you cutting me up into pieces and putting me on a stove.
Well, that's
just wrong.
Look, if Look, I love you, but if I catch you with the UPS guy, all bets are off. Okay, so the thing is,
the neighbor across the street, I gotta watch out for.
Oh man, do we really want to get into? Okay,
I think not.
No, I think not too.
Probably not.
But the thing is, Dahmer. But the reason why I brought him up anyway is that there was all kinds of occasions to catch up to this guy and repeated complaints about the stench. And the same thing happened with the killer clown. You remember him, right? John Wayne Gacy?
Yeah, he's a freaky looking guy.
Another interesting character that, that I was able to interact with to some degree at one point.
Well, he wasn't a cannibal, right?
But it's a convoluted story. But he had rotting, remnants under his house, so neighbors complained about the smell that came from his place too. But Dahmer, at the end of the day, they at one point had captured one of his victims. One of his victims is basically running down the street handcuffed and naked. And what did they do? Because the kid was drugged up and everything. They returned him back to Dahmer at one point, sort of claiming it was like a lover's spat, because of course, Dahmer's kind of unique in that he was sort of homosexual, which is, supposedly the psychological viewpoint of the people that did study him, is that he was so tortured over his sexuality and sought to control his victims that he was actually experimenting with doing stuff like drilling holes in his victim's head and pouring antifreeze in it in order to preserve the brain but not exactly completely destroy it and things like this. I got a lot of weird stories about this kind of stuff. I mean, there was plenty of criminals that I've corresponded with, interviewed personally for different stuff. And believe me, I didn't just study JFK-related stuff, obviously, but I don't know. At some point, I think I'll do a whole show on those guys, those notable notables that did this or that, and plus a bunch of guys that you probably never heard of and never will hear of again. Of course, Dahmer met his demise when some people caught him during his work detail and just beat him to death.
Right.
Because don't forget, that was like a racially charged incident, because the idea was that, the majority of Dahmer's victims, I can't remember if all of them were black, but I think all of them were black. I think there was, 14, 16. It's been so many years since I studied it.
Right. Well, that kind of goes into what I wanted to talk about before. I just didn't, but I know they had studied his upbringing, and he seemed to have a normal upbringing. His parents were...
Dahmer?
Whatever normal might be. I don't even know, because I'm not normal, but...
Well, Dahmer or Bundy? Because which one are you talking about?
Dahmer.
Yeah, Dahmer, okay. Dahmer was, an alcoholic. Like I said, he was kind of a closeted homosexual, all that kind of stuff. There was the sort of problems with the divorced family, when that used to be a huge sort of issue, the broken home, as it were. There's a lot to his story.
Oh,
actually.
I thought he came from like a good family.
Well, that's why I asked you about Bundy, because Bundy was actually pretty normal in his upbringing, initially. This is my understanding anyway. Again, it's been so many years since I actually studied this stuff and did my reading and, my comprehensive looks at the generally accepted wisdom in the psychological community. I would say that, the Bundy case is more an exemplar of somebody who had a relatively normal childhood that wound up expressing themselves in a fully heinous, sociopathic, conflicted way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of goes into what worries me is we're all... The first show I did, we were talking about Social Security numbers and not having one and whatnot. And what I wanted to say, and my bad habit is I always think of what to say after the fact. I'm not quick that way, but I think it's too late for our generation. So what I'm trying to do is for the next one, for our children and their children. But what concerns me about that is if you look at the kids today, either they're all a bunch of smartasses or we're raising a bunch of pussies. So we're going to try to do all this stuff to change it for them to make it better, but we're just handing it over to a bunch of little crybaby brats.
Well, this is why it's necessary to kind of control the psychology of the next generation that we're bringing up to try and enlighten them and give them an emotional stability and a stake that makes them independent and free thinkers and all that kind of stuff. We don't want them to wind up being part of the crowd and to just sort of immerse themselves in the pools of political correctness that have really crippled the social interaction, I would say, of that generation up and coming.
No, that's true. But here's the thing with trying to raise your children properly, if you will. Properly, I don't even know if that's correct, but I started to tell a story last week about this person that I know whose child has been diagnosed with Asperger's, and there was that show on, I think it had to be South Park because it's the only show that would really go there, but they were making jokes about, if you have Asperger's, it means you have burgers in your ass or whatever. Well, so this was going on with this kid, and he's in, 6th grade, so he's got to be about 12. So now that particular school that I used to work in is now going to implement a sensitivity assembly once a month to try to teach the children to be sensitive. Well, while I don't agree with full-blown bullying, I do agree with the pecking order, and I think that helps build character. I mean, it's one thing to be harassed beyond normal childhood bullshit. When we were kids, you got in a fight with somebody, you went out in the playground or the basketball court, you beat the crap out of each other, you went home, and you were friends the next day. I think the schools have stepped in too much, because what they're doing is they're not teaching the child how to deal with conflict. So when they get older, nobody's going to give a shit if you have autism, if you have Asperger's. They don't care. And I think we're setting. My older son was diagnosed with autism. He's adopted, and I swear that problem, the problems that he has, comes from he was malnourished as an infant. When he was born, he was 8.5 pounds, and when he came for me to take care of as a foster parent, he only weighed 12.5 pounds, and that's 9 months. He only gained 4 pounds. And then not being familiar with everything in the vaccines, I really couldn't say anything anyway because he was an award of the state, so I couldn't refuse him getting the shots. But they gave him 6 at one time to catch up from, he only had the one shot out of the hospital, the Hep shot. But I raised him without calling attention to what his problems were, because, like I said, you get a job when you're in your 20s, nobody cares what your problem is. If you're expected to be at work at 9 o'clock, you're expected to be at work at 9 o'clock. There's no pass because you have autism or you have Asperger's or whatever.
Let's differentiate between, the idea of somebody who's, fully immersed in their autistic condition and all these kids that are on the spectrum, right? There's a wide variety of things now that sort of fall under the banner of autism. And of course, your son that you're talking about, I mean, he's pretty much, he's a functional kid. He's not not completely incapable of functioning in a I don't want to say normal, but like a typical kind of environment.
Well, no, because I didn't use his diagnosis as an excuse for him to act like a little shithead.
Well, right, and that's the thing is, so it's not really the issue of autism. That's kind of not even the important part here. It's the excuses and the concept of, I have a disorder, which, there are a great many disorders that do exist now that did not before, and we know why. But there's also the expansion of the definitions of these disorders to encompass a whole lot of kids who had, minor learning disabilities, who have minor social issues, and these types of things are quickly becoming like the great excuse. It's almost like, we were Generation X and they're Generation Excuse. And it's like, well, because of that, I need all sorts of special consideration. I have no need to adapt and overcome as I was taught as a child in a harsh way. And I'm not suggesting by any means that somebody takes the way I was raised or how I turned out to be any sort of example.
Well, but you learned how to deal with conflict. You learned how to communicate. You learned how to defend yourself. All of these skills that are needed to survive as a grown-up are being taken. They're not learning them because we're going to call in these bunch of morons that work in the office of the school, and we're going to set up a sensitivity training. Well, first of all, it comes from home, too. You need to raise your child to be respectful. And that's out the window. I was at the Dollar Tree the other day, and this little 5-year-old is telling his grandmother he's not going to carry the bag, that she just put all kinds of treats in there for him. And he said, I told you I'm not carrying that bag. I would have turned around and slapped the crap out of that little brat right then and there in the store. And you had to see the look on everybody's face in there. They were horrified.
Well, best not do that in public because they'll CPS that child and they'll take you to court.
Well, no, what you do is you pinch them underneath the armpit so nobody can see it, and you just make them cry, and then you leave the store. That's what you do.
Well,
Grab them by underneath that, where it's real sensitive under there, and you just pinch it a little bit.
Right, folks. Covertly hurt your children. Okay, so...
Hey, well... I told my kids when they were little, you embarrass me, I'm going to embarrass you.
Yeah, well,
I'll make you cry right there.
There is that. But look, the greater issue here is not necessarily, and I hate that term conflict resolution even, because, there's just a matter of surviving in circumstances and not allowing them to completely drown you as a person. You know what I mean? There will be adversity. There will be unfairness. Individuals will target you and decide to take out their issues on you. This is what's going to happen in the real world, no matter where you go, no matter what age you are, no matter who you think you are, no matter what disorder you have. So there is a need to endure certain things and to not let them be, the thing that completely implodes your personality and your entire being. And I guess what it comes down to is that the lesson that is not being learned by a lot of them out there is that you don't allow somebody else to define who you are or what you are, whether it's through abuse, peer pressure, encouragement. It doesn't really matter how the sociological pressure is applied. You have to maintain your own integrity.
Well, I think it is somewhat of a conflict resolution skill because, you're not going to get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to like you. God knows there's a ton of people I don't like. But you still have to know how to deal with them, and you need to learn how to communicate. And you're taking away that ability because what the hell is sensitivity training anyway? You're going to sit and tell a bunch of little 6th graders, oh, well, don't make fun of this kid because of that. That's just retarded.
Oh,
sorry.
Hey, watch the R word.
All right, that's ridiculous. All right.
See, but that's
I'm not politically correct.
Well,
so
yeah, but there's my problem. Is that look, don't use the R word and don't identify people by their disorders, but allow that to dictate exactly what they are entitled to. So entitlement is an issue. Oversensitivity or lack of empathy is a problem. See, you don't need to treat sensitivity. We don't need greater sensitivity. Sensitivity will come and go as you age. As you continue on with your story arc in society. It'll come and go, all right? So the deal is that, it's not sensitivity that needs to be taught. It's the idea that, there is a common interest between you and the guy next to you, and maybe hurting him is not a good idea because, and I hate to say this because, again, I'm not a Christian or anything, but, sometimes you have to sort of love thy neighbor as you love thyself. And this is something that needs to be done. In order for us to survive as a species, we're going to have to reconnect with one another in a significant way, and not just via text and email, or actually email's kind of outdated, isn't it? Not via text and...
Hold on, a Hopper in the chat room said he has a retarded cat. Well, we have a retarded puppy that I had to adopt because I felt sorry for it. And there's just no getting around it. You're right, Hopper. They're just retarded.
Oh, see, now I'm going to call BS on you right now because you didn't know she was retarded when you went and got her.
Oh,
you just thought she was pretty.
She's pretty, but she's retarded.
Ah, good old Alice. Alice in Chains, the puppy.
Yes, that's what she's named after.
My goodness, she is probably the dumbest creature that I've ever had to share a space with.
She's sweet.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe I should consider Godzilla, but... Wow. We'll steer away from that one. But the thing is, you didn't know.
It now. You're in big trouble.
I know I am. But the thing is that, you didn't know she was dumb. She was just a pretty puppy.
Well, she is a little. But she's sweet. She's sweet. She's very sweet with Frankie. I think. She lays there next to him when he's on his blanket. When I was giving him a bath earlier, she was laying there on the rug in the bathroom, and he was smiling and laughing at her because I think he knows she's a little retarded.
Well, this explains fully why I haven't just taken her someplace and given her a cheeseburger and left her somewhere. Because
that would just be mean.
Well, put her in God's hands, and perhaps He has the patience for her. Because I usually don't.
She is a lab, Hopper. You're right. She's part lab. She's golden lab. She's got the color of golden lab, but I think she's also a
Jack Russell or something.
Jack Russell Terrier. She's got these long ass legs and this weird looking body.
She's built like a hunting dog too, like one you can imagine dealing with.
Anteater.
Well, but I'm talking about the legs to body ratio. She kind of looks like one of those dogs that's good for going in the tall grass and avoiding it, but at the same time isn't a very heavy dog, so could probably run around a lot.
Yeah,
would normally have a lot of endurance.
How I got some retarded dogs from teaching kids how to defend themselves. But anyway, it's just that kind of day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Spinning around in a circle all day long. Maybe I'm a little retarded.
Which is kind of what Alice does. And also, she does another weird thing. I've never seen a dog drag herself across a rug, like on her belly. Not trying to scratch or anything, but actually she'll go under things. So she's pretty versatile when it comes to the, the limbo game with the legs and everything. I mean, she does weird stuff, man.
She's cool.
Yeah.
I like her.
I don't know, man. But you can't...
She was free, so I can't complain.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, but she chews everything.
She's a puppy. All right, who's going to call in so I can talk about something other than my retarded dog?
We can find other stuff to talk... we didn't finish that article either.
Oh, well, because it was disgusting. I don't want to talk about rotting person meat.
Oh, why not?
Because that's just wrong.
Well, aren't we all just, rotting meat, as it were?
I'm not. Are you?
I feel like it.
Oh, God. All right, well, do I have to continue this article? No, I really don't. No. It's my show.
No, you can do whatever you want. Look, if you want to just sit here and
I don't want to just
sing Christmas carols, I don't care.
I don't think the chat room would appreciate that very much.
Well, you know what? Who cares?
Oh, I do. I don't want them to all leave. Let's see. I think a neighbor also complained, too, about... I'm not reading that article. If they want to read it, they can click on the link. It's just nasty.
Do you want me to read it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I do not.
All right. So, sorry, I guess we're not going to read that one. But
the link is up there, so if you want to get on into how he cooked his girlfriend and the neighbors complained of rotting meat and he ran away and then killed himself, then There it is.
Well, during putrefaction of the human body, there are certain chemicals that do cause that smell to arise, and it is pretty unique because the types of omnivores that we are, the smell of rotting flesh when it comes to a human being is pretty. It is pretty singular in its characteristics. Putrescine and cadaverine are two of the components that become aerosolized, and during the putrefaction process, you do find that this kind of thing is a rather lingering and disturbing odor to the living neighbors. So a lot of times these guys who try to bury somebody in the wall or whatever else, that they don't do a good enough job to seal it up. Or if over time the gases are released as a result of putrefaction.
You know a little bit too much about this.
Well, there's even been cases where, if after a little while somebody starts to rot, occasionally the intestines. I'm not sure, but let's see. Oh, that's Hecty.
Hey, Hecty, how are you?
Oh, evening and all.
Which conversation do you care to join? The retarded dog, the cannibalism. What else? I'm just spinning around today. I am so damn tired. I can't even see straight.
And I'll tell you something, Kim. I'm still a little bit mad at you anyway because I wanted to present this show to Jules as, ready for this, everybody? I wanted to call this the Short Bus. And I wanted to be able to say, every time a caller joined in, hey, you're on the Short Bus.
No.
And I thought it would be just hysterical to do so, but Kim was worried that, somebody would take serious offense to that.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, it has its connotations.
Well, I wanted to be funny.
I know what you mean, man.
But you know what? It's not my show, despite what other people think. And I can't do the impression because my throat's killing me. But I'm telling you, I really wanted to come on tonight and just, do, oh, they beat me unmerciful. They left me there in a puddle of my own piss and blood. And my shoes fell off.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going on?
Anyway, Hecty, enough of my nonsense and fatigue speaking. What's on your mind tonight, brother?
I've been seeing, as you've been seeing with how this whole trolling is with the hacks from last week I mentioned to you.
Well, look, you actually, and I haven't brought this up anywhere. Do you mind if I mention the conversation you and I had about a month ago? Off the air?
Yeah.
Is that he minds or yeah?
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay. I'm going to tell you guys something out there. You sort of called this for me way ahead of when it happened. Not that you know anything about it, but you sort of gave me an idea that this whole narrative was going to emerge, and to just be aware that something like this was going to go on. You didn't know the exact players that were going to be pushed, but you knew that that there was, the possibility of the North Koreans being blamed for something like this.
Yeah, this whack-a-mole type of stuff has been hit up over the last few months, I've seen, and it's like any little thing that the State Department tries to nitpick figures with. That's
well, yeah, and my argument about this is that the North Korean regime is completely incompetent when it comes to technology. As far as I can tell, they're way behind, say people like China or even the Iranians. Many Middle Eastern countries are well ahead of them regarding their capabilities, and the nonsense that they're pushing with this Bureau 121 in North Korea is responsible for...
Yeah, I laughed about it when I heard about that Witness 40 again. Oh, God. Witness 40 was used for a few different things I can think of. oh, didn't we use Witness 40 to go into a few countries like Libya as an example?
Yeah, the mighty Wurlitzer, as it were. Here we go. Probably a lot of people have no concept what I'm talking about. But, I mean, the thing is, how many times are we going to watch the Muppets and think that Kermit the Frog is really having a relationship with Miss Piggy? And therefore, Gonzo is having relationships with his chicken wives.
With his what?
I'm talking Muppet Universe.
Yeah, I know what the Muppets are, but I didn't hear who's Gonzo with?
Gonzo, he hangs out with the chickens. They're his girlfriends.
Oh, I don't recall that.
Even though Gonzo is actually a weirdo, he's not a chicken, but he's kind of chicken resemblance.
Oh, cool. All right, well, can you hold the show a second?
Yeah, no problem. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Hector? You know what I'm referring to here with the Muppets.
Yeah, it has its connotations with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what it comes down to at the end of the day, of course, is that who's actually pulling the strings regarding all this nonsense. Sony, in an attempt to push their movie and to create some sort of importance and to ratchet up interest for a future project that maybe doesn't suck as bad, has spared us from the wider release of of another Seth Rogen film. That probably wasn't all that funny anyway.
Well, here's the funny thing with that movie and all. You know how much the State Department put in that movie?
No, I don't, but go ahead, tell me.
If I remember, probably about 2,000 to 5,000 taxpayer dollars went into that movie. Usual with that type of propaganda, but it's like... Hey, same with the Team Fortress and all that.
See, I wasn't actually aware of that, but I was thinking to myself that there are a whole lot many more interesting stories that are about to come out and that are out currently. Kill the Messenger is out there, not very wide release at this point, and that's an interesting story coming out of Hollywood. Maybe meant to marginalize to some degree, the work of a Gary Webb, this kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. There's that new American Sniper movie, which I've now seen commercials for because everywhere I go on the internet, I'm forced to deal with commercials of some sort or another. So you saw the American Sniper movie that's upcoming, right?
Oh, I've heard about that. But yeah, it's like a lot of propaganda movies are being uploaded as we speak, as usual. And then I know a lot of your piracy lost some big cash. Remember when I was mentioning with the...
Well, yeah, Pirate Bay went down.
Yeah. Well, the Army makes a good amount of cash from the Pirate Bay. People don't know that.
Well, yeah, that's the whole fun part about this. And you know what cracks me up is nobody is taking into account that the Motion Picture Association of America, right? They certainly want to have some things on the record to be able to complain about regarding intellectual properties, okay? Because everybody remember the SOPA thing?
Oh, yes, I remember that whole deal. It's to bring up that, but it's also to throw out Sony out of the US as well. Where it's like, oh, we're looking so bad here, we're going to close up shop in a year or two. I'm sorry.
And what difference is that really going to make in the greater scheme of things? I mean, to the best of my knowledge, Sony, again, as far as I know, the genesis of that company was, the Betamax and the greater manufacturing capabilities that started to come out of Japan, during the late 70s, throughout the 80s, and into the 90s, regarding electronics and all that, right? This is where that company came from. Of course, it morphed into Sony Entertainment, which went into intellectual properties like the music industry, et cetera, right? They're currently involved in everything from digital publishing to motion pictures and on and on and on. And wasn't this, and now maybe my memory's off on this, but wasn't this the same company that had the piracy complaints and everything else, even though it turned out to be a completely inside job, regarding the first X-Men movie that came out, like maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, to where one that, let's just say, a disgruntled employee got roasted about that. And had some trouble with that, if I remember. But I'm a little vague on the details from it.
Well, right, but this is how you can, dumb it down for the monkeys out there to get them to relate to the idea that cybersecurity is a big issue. Explaining to them that that Target had its credit cards stolen and whatever else. Well, that wasn't a big enough impact. But since they have now interrupted a Seth Rogen film, now it's time for you to be concerned. And of course, they're making legitimate 9/11 style threats on movie theaters, and I mean, it is just so laughable.
But isn't that wasn't that all done because didn't they want to secretly send in 1,300 troops into Syria without any of us knowing?
Yeah, that is a distraction.
That kind of snuck in under there, and I was like, whoa! I thought we weren't putting any boots on the ground. Here we go again.
Yeah, we snuck in another 20K, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I remember Jimmy had it on his show back in the summertime when Lance was on with him, and they were talking about that, and I remember saying, no, we'll have boots on the ground, just wait, and here it is.
Well, I vaguely recall people talking about how around Christmas time, which we are now there, despite the fact that we're about to enter the winter solstice, Christmas time is right about the time of the deployment, and people predicted this during the summer. Now, I do recall people on this network talking about that specifically. So again, we were a little ahead of the curve, just like we were about, militarized police and et cetera, et cetera. So, don't want to pat anybody on the back or dissuade anybody from going back, but go back and listen to the UCY archives, on YouTube or wherever you can get them, and take a listen to what was going on this network in the summer, because we were talking about specifically the greater reinvasion or continuation of hostilities in Iraq, et cetera, right? I mean, this is not really earth-shattering, surprising stuff to us.
I just think it's sad that it always happens around the holiday time,
Yeah.
That's pretty shitty. You couldn't wait till the beginning of the year? At least let the men and women be with their families for their holidays?
Well, but as you have observed yourself, people are so lost in their own little worlds during the holidays. I mean, this is why, parking lot accidents increase and, all kinds of weird stuff goes on because people aren't paying attention. But that's the reality regarding doing a large move like this, is that it's exactly conducted during the holiday season, at which time, you're more worried about trying to get yourself further in debt so you can buy the latest wave of the electronic crap to keep your kids busy, so God help you, they won't look up and even say a word to you or argue with you about something, because they'll be completely enthralled by their fondle slab of choice. Yeah.
I don't have a fondle slab.
Speaking of...
I have to go buy one.
Speaking of few zero-day hacks I know of, let's just say teachers' pensions and all that's... Someone's been testing out something with those lately to see how secure those things are. Oh, God. I wonder if he's actually going to leech any money this time.
Well, people have pensions still.
I know teachers' pensions, but still, there's some areas of the nation that still use it, but yet sometimes they quietly take some pensions out still. But I know, it's like... under credit card swaps and all that, still protected to a point, but yet not quite anymore.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Anybody that thinks anything is actually safe in this age is
No.
out of their minds. I mean, nothing is an untouched, an undiscovered country at this point regarding, the interconnectivity of the electronic age. So,
for I've seen one of the other 0 days I've seen is some power grid testing again. Oh boy. It's like, pick the darts for that one again. Hearing a few wires. So ain't that gonna be a chilly Christmas night? And then, also, they're gonna try to use this whole Sony hack again with that banging on something that's gonna hit the 25th. You'll probably see something that hits more of gamer end, so that will probably be funny about then. Remember when I said about those lizards at the time? Last time I was around? Yeah, something around then with that one. So if you hear anything about that, you'll probably see that surprise.
Well, and what else do they have to discuss at this point? Are they going to tell us the truth regarding the further occupation of Iraq? Are they going to tell us, whose side we're really on regarding the ISIS crisis? Are they going to tell us more about the wonderful lone wolf attackers that are going to come out? I mean, I'm curious about that kind of stuff. If we're going to have more of those,
Well, the one thing I've seen lately that's been pretty interesting is UN troops in Haiti again.
Well, Haiti's always been a cluster,
Oh, yeah, but let's just say 3 squadrons, more than usual, to deal with Haiti this week. Yeah. I know the president kind of had to sit down just because of that.
I didn't see that. I gotta say though that and I brought this up on my show. The whole ridiculousness regarding the debates about Cuba are still dumbfounding to me as well.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if I give you a little hinting?
No, look, you're the only guy who called in. So go right ahead and speak your mind.
The people in the chat room left me hanging.
And if somebody else wants to call in, feel free if you're on my Skype list.
It's more of a basis for that area. It's like more countries are wanting those areas with bases. And I know Russia's been having their full sea bases to where they're having with Venezuela and all that. And they can go swinging by us and they can just go buzzing by us. And it's like... It's like, we're gonna warn you now and then, just keep in line or else and stay out of Ukraine, please.
Yeah, we've been watching these near misses happen with these Russian aircraft that don't have their transponders on with the civilian aircraft, right? I mean, all along the coast.
Yeah. The ships, too, that they're doing something
like. Yeah, where, let's just say Russian command brought up orders to side swing countries of being annoyances to their own country in some cases, from which I've seen. And also, we're getting a good, nice little base in Cuba that we're trying to weasel in there. The recent little incident I've seen that's a little bit more of a PR cleanup as well lately is to where we tried... Remember the same thing with the same group and all that we tried to do earlier in the year and all? Well, basically, they tried to use the Cubic influence of the rappers, to where it's like, as the thing goes, they don't agree with our government, they don't agree with the Cuban government, they say, fuck off you and get out of there. That's how that's area been like lately. I know Costa Rica's been pretty interesting too in some spots, but with how hackers are getting reestablished with their new little base of operations.
Well, we have to, of course, and here's something that I've heard absolutely nobody say, and I'm going to put a strange little connect the dots scenario in play here really quickly. Let's think about this. If you have Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, you have Camp X-Ray in Cuba, you have the revelations regarding torture, etc., right? Now let's step back and imagine that we need to make some sort of deal with the government that is in power at the time over there. It just coincidentally happens right after the torture reports come out. Has nobody bothered to think about that? Maybe it's a concession to Raul and Fidel over there in order to make sure that none of the information that they have collected goes viral. How about that? Because they may be more aware of way worse things than putting a bag on somebody's head and making people make naked pyramids. They may be well aware of mass graves and things like that we might have some responsibility in that happen to be on their soil. I mean, and that's speculation on my part.
Well, I'm going to say this now. If you do some checking through some South American news, you may find some of that information. I'm only pointing towards a possible source, but it's like, even, you wonder why how Google's cutting off all their Mexican feeds. They're also cutting off all the Russian feeds, too, quietly, for Google, too.
Well, yeah. Here's the deal. I'm aware of some of that South American and Central American news sources. Let's just say that have speculated about this to some degree. But what I'm saying is that the possibility exists that you might have to make nice with a government that might have some of the goods on you.
Yeah, plus also another spy that got caught in Venezuela a few months back was traded over to Cuba. It's like, prisoner exchanges usually happen when when someone's a very interesting and very reliable source, and usually was keeping information on all the South American countries and what they're doing. Do you think that would be interesting asset trying to get back at them?
Yeah, well, see, that's part of it,
Uh-huh.
But the other thing, like I said on my show, and like I have just I've said to you out loud, even Kim, regarding this situation, is that it's entirely a completely solipsistic view to imagine that we should have any sort of hello pot, hello kettle. I do believe we're both black regarding the overthrows and they're fomenting revolutions and they're causing these problems in Central and South America with other governments. They've tried to export the revolution from the island nation of Cuba and the great boogeyman of Fidel Castro. Blah 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 blah. This is all such nonsense.
Yeah.
After we funded more than one of these death squads, we funded plenty of these regimes, and I'm holding up air quotes, but we funded plenty of these straw man intelligence assets to do our dirty work in Central and South America for a long time. In fact, the Castro thing, you got to be kidding me.
Well, there are certain things that Castro made with the EU recently to where there's probably more to that, I should say. It going into states are more recognizing Palestine and would nullify Israel in some cases.
Well, right, and let's not forget that many anti-Israeli type individuals do wind up meeting in Cuba. This has been something that's been legendary since the 60s. I mean, if you search hard enough, you can find, a whole thing, a whole film with Castro sitting down with, Yasser Arafat long before we knew who he was, and so on and so on. So this is not exactly what it appears to be, let's just say.
Yeah.
And I know I'm conspiracy-minded regarding this stuff, so, maybe I'm just kooky.
Well, I know there's also one other thing as well I could probably point out that's a possibility, too. Well, remember resources and all that, too, when it comes to some things as well down there? That's one other thing, but that's kind of just my thoughts with just a light addition to that.
Well, the United Fruit Company, Dole, all of these, the various sugar companies that have benefited over the years.
Sugar companies, more like Bush's oil companies down in Cuba.
Well, yeah, if you want to talk about H.W. Bush and the whole Zapata oil, and all that kind of stuff, and the different intrigues regarding, the stuff that was previous to, contemporaneous with, and also post Operation Mongoose, all of that kind of stuff that occurred. There is a long storied history with Cuba that is being completely ignored.
Oh yeah.
All I know is if we start getting to import and export, I want to try some Cuban coffee. That's
I hear Cuban coffee's pretty good. Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Shit
I'm drinking right now.
Their beans are pretty good, because next to some pure South American stuff, they're probably the best, personally. To where it's but thinking of something else that's kind of guacamole-ish lately.
Yeah, hold on just a second, Hector. The thing is, I want to put out the number, and please call in if you want to join in the conversation out there, guys. Anybody that wants to, you hear we're willing to entertain anything here.
Any rabbit hole.
Go ahead, Kim.
What?
Say whatever it is you want to say.
About what?
Well, any rabbit hole.
Oh, no, you can go on to that rabbit hole.
Oh,
I'm just curious where that airplane went.
Which one?
The one over the ocean.
What, the MH370?
Whatever happened to that airplane?
Oh, yeah. Hopping off that little rabbit hole off to something that's related.
Okay.
Well, like how North Korea and South Korea were holding some interesting referendums lately of reuniting quietly.
Yeah, I don't know how much that was just, propaganda or if that was realistic, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, someone I knew personally has family over there, and she kind of saw some of the contracting to where it looked like they were going to sign that, but it's like, it depends on how the U.S. reacts to certain things, and if they keep their fucking butterfingers out of people's businesses. I will leave it at that.
That will never happen.
Yeah, well, expecting the U.S. to not, conveniently drop its fingers,
Well, let's just say if the U.S. doesn't drop it, they lose their oil ships, okay?
Yeah, but, I'm quickly reminded of the old stories about, no, I'm just going to put in the tip, sorry. It's yeah, it's
sorry, that just went over for a second, but I got it now.
But it's not realistic. I mean, the largest imperialistic interest in the world at this point is, the greater complex, which we have spread, to well over 180 nations at this point in time, where we have some sort of military presence. It's not realistic to imagine that we're not going to utilize anything we can get our hands on to continue to feed the beast. And when I say we, of course, I don't mean you and me, Hector. I do mean, the greater creature, which is well out of our control or preview at this point. So I don't know, where you want to go with that from there, but
thinking of more of cyberization for people too. I've seen probably an interesting little tidbit that some people probably missed on Friday. Soldier is getting more fitted with custom arms and all that.
Well, yeah, and this is the kind of thing that Jules covers all the time. The greater, like, a cyborg society that seems to be rising up in the military ranks. The possibilities of technology becoming, fully independent and sentient, and all of those dystopic things. Not my specialty for sure, but go ahead and say what you want to say about it.
Well, it has its boons and uses, but yet with the soldier tour, thinking of it reminds me of certain older tech where it reattaches to the nerve endings itself at all.
Mm.
To where certain barbaric practices, even in Rome, if you go back to technology, if you look into it.
Wow.
Yeah, well.
Oh boy.
Not,
Yeah.
never, go ahead.
Oh, finish what you were going to say.
No, I was just gonna say, everything that seems to be old is new again. I mean, it's just, nothing seems to be really new under the sun. I mean, a lot of the war-making technology that used to exist has now come back again in one way or another. The barbaric techniques are being revisited, and it makes me wonder about the spiritual atmosphere we find ourselves immersed in. But again, this is the extreme rabbit hole where I like to have somebody who's taken the time to really focus on this kind of stuff and discuss what the greater meaning of all that is, the dehumanization of the population, as well as the mechanization of the industrial nation, as it were. But,
Well, when you dehumanize a person, they lose their own value, their own pride. Once you break the spirit, the flesh will succumb. A little saying with that.
Right. And that's why the focus on neuro-linguistic programming, the mind control efforts are definitely ongoing and a whole lot more above boards than they used to be. And we no longer have to hand out the psychedelics in order to create the illusion of a subculture. There is no such thing as a culture, so now anything that appears to be a collective set of values and concepts is a subculture in and of itself, because there is no greater culture that exists. But, but I digress.
There's that word again. Oh, boy.
Well, like putting certain things with how family been, I like to put it, sleepwalking with certain family members that they've been kind of really being annoying about Christmas and all that, to where it's like they went in real fancy and all that, but it's like, God, what family dearly?
Yeah, well, hey, Christmas is a weird time of year from a cultural standpoint, and I know we were talking about this recently too.
What's that?
Well, about the greater cultural atmosphere that emerges from the Christmas construct that is completely corporatist at this point.
They have stuff in the stores for Christmas in August.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's like what they serve at Halloween. They serve it up probably 3 months before, to where it's gives a heads up for some people. Yeah.
Well, see, I like to go shopping after Christmas because everything's 50 and 75% off, so I get all kinds of good deals when I go after,
Yeah, to where that is kind of an honest mechanization of some things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Frankie's only 6 months old, so he doesn't have the concept, and our other kids are older, so you just throw them gift cards and it's all good. So, we don't have to worry about going to the mall, and I even hate going to the mall. I can't stand crowds. I have to have my square space. If you are in my space, I don't like it. You're all shoved in there like a bunch of cattle, trying to hurry up and go get the best deal you can possibly get for some ungrateful little brat that's just going to toss it to the side or break it and think they're going to get another one. I like the holiday because just from memories of being a child, but as an adult, I can't stand it.
Well, here's the thing with this real subculture I've seen it. This Christmas hijacking sort of shit started in '89. I saw personally, but it probably started sooner for some family.
Well, what do you mean by Christmas hijacking exactly? I mean, are you talking about the bastardization of the holiday itself, or or are you talking about the the ostensive war on Christmas nonsense? What are we talking about here?
More of like starting up Black Friday sort of crap and all that way earlier than they should. Like Thursday is in all that sort of crap, yeah.
Yeah, didn't they do it like Wednesday before Thanksgiving this year?
Yeah, they did out here. That's first. Yeah. Which they did on Thursday night at midnight, where it's like all the Christmas rushers went out, and 3 people got stopped in town.
Yeah, well, look, to bastardize what is actually not a legitimate or historically sensible holiday to begin with, I mean, it's a Saturnarian observance, and is actually based on pagan practice anyway. So the whole laughable notion of a war on Christmas and a war on Christians is completely out of hand anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And to OG, something becomes convoluted and completely submerged in corporatist nonsense and chaos and consumerism gone mad and the unnecessary purchasing and trading of people's futures and products and things like that, mostly manufactured, in slave land China. Wow. Not shocked,
Well, I admit I was one of those assholes standing in line at the, oh God, I'm going to bite my tongue, the Walmart, when my oldest daughter wanted an Xbox. And they actually, it's like, I swear I felt like a sheep standing there, because they filter you through this maze-like thing. They have TVs in the refrigerator section and where the milk and sour cream is, and you got to go walk all the way across the other side if you want, I don't know, a bathrobe. But they give you a ticket, and you literally stand in line for like 4 hours. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, am I out of my fucking mind standing here? And then further back in the corner, I'm trying to mind my own business, but sometimes it's impossible when it gets all up in your face. These 2 men started brawling over a Tom-Tom. And they had to call the police to come into the Walmart at 2:30 in the morning because 2 grown men were actually fist fighting over the last ticket to stand in line for the Tom-Tom. I know, this was about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And I just shook my head and said to myself, what the hell am I doing here? And the lines were out of control. It takes... If you want to have the sentimental part of the holiday and, the Christmas music and you're with your family and whatnot, it sucks it right out of you when you got to stand in line and listen to the crap you listen to and watching people punch each other in the head for this little electronic gadget.
Oh, thinking of little electronic gadgets. Hug Me Elmo type shit from '89, I remember.
Oh, well, every year there's some sort of great praise.
Oh, is it Tickle Me Elmo?
Well, Tickle Me Elmo was the big one.
Oh,
first,
is that what he said? I thought.
No, he said Hug Me Elmo.
Oh, Hug Me Elmo.
Like, there's a big difference. Didn't
that guy get in trouble too? Wasn't he? Or no, he.
No, it was some guy who dressed up as Elmo was, I don't know, accused of child molestation. Big shocker again. But but Tickle Me Elmo. Good.
Yeah. It's like with all that type of convoluted shit, it's that usual bastardization. But let's just say some experiments I've been working out. I've been seeing what frequencies with dams have been doing to the land around them and what they've done. And I've been finding some interesting readings on things.
Wow, that's a seriously different rabbit hole. Hold on. I gotta get in my Jeep and jump on over there.
Sorry, I'm bad.
That's alright.
No problem. Look,
to
talk about infrastructure and the vulnerability and, of course, frequencies, just like I discussed with Larry Woods, I mean, the entire world is dictated by the frequency on which things are resonating. So, interesting subject. I mean, I don't know where to go on this because I've got absolutely no background.
It's okay. Just like someone brought this up to me, and it's like it brought up as a possibility, and I did some testing with, like, as an example with Hoover Dam. It's like bringing up negative frequencies into causing more earthquakes because of the dam in its geolocation.
Well, everything is relevant to its geological location. After all, we always bring up the fact that all of these nuclear power plants are built right along on fault lines and in all sorts of vulnerable places, so that eventually, if they don't disintegrate just based on the weight of their own radioactivity, they'll be destroyed by some sort of natural disaster. Just like the tsunami, as it were, that that brought us the wonderful world of Fukushima, where I no longer eat any fish at this point.
That really makes me mad because I like shrimp.
Yeah, well.
And, I won't eat it now.
Yeah, no, it's like even Russian fish is like $1,000 anymore.
Well, we used to live in New Jersey, and we were, a half a mile from that power plant? But I figure, you know what, if that thing's going to go off, I'd rather die instantly than be sick for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, whatever, however long it would take to kill you. I'd rather just be dead.
Oh, reminds me of how Vegas is being slow nuked, and still is.
Well, we're being poisoned everywhere.
Yeah, well, and on some level, it's almost almost poetic justice if Vegas is being,
Yeah, I know. It's by the water supply, all the 05, 06, and if you think about that one.
Yeah, well, of course, they always get at the water supply. I remember reading about stuff when we moved to North Carolina. I didn't expect to hear about the contamination and troubles that were here, but apparently, I missed out on a bunch of stuff just before I moved here. There was all these sorts of contaminants in the water supply that they said they didn't know anything about.
Oh yeah, pipeline leaks,
right.
Some radiation barrels blowing up in the area. Yeah.
Right, and I'm almost not, I'm not surprised by any of that stuff anymore, but I've gotten to a point where I'm actually relatively surprised that there's not, so much of this stuff, that it's so prolific that, like it's a constant, resonating, continuing, echoing thing that's just occurring constantly, in the news, where this is being contaminated, this is bust, this has gone wrong, this Superfund site that we thought might have been cleaned up is actually contaminated, yet another water table, etc., etc.
Well, you can't escape it.
Well, you can't escape it at all, but it's like certain freshwater beds should be left alone, but it's like, yeah.
Well, it would be nice to see the whole planet left alone from all this crap. It would be nice to, actually abandon the Wile E. Coyote style of boiling water that we deal with these nuclear power plants. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But then again, hey, chemtrails over your head don't really exist, and and there is no such thing as a conspiracy.
I could have played tic-tac-toe the other day in the sky.
Oh,
it was insane.
Yeah, with like how these buggers really are having their usual X's and O's, and they're usually less picky about letting people see it. Anyway, with what I was getting back to with the frequencies and all that, it's like how Hoover Dam's frequencies are causing earthquakes in California in certain areas, a little bit higher than others. San Diego to bring up, because a friend of mine brought this up with me when we were having a little chat between certain dams in China, for example, are bringing up more quakes in more of the other areas around it from it. That's why I was looking into it myself. See if there was any validation to it, but since
wow.
Well, what you're saying is that you think some of this stuff is being engineered for a particular purpose. I don't know. That, again, this is one of those areas that I don't really have.
Well, I like to follow the natural disasters. I think they're, it's the Earth is fascinating if you take the time to read about it. I mean, hurricanes and earthquakes and tornadoes. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, let's just say a few rain experiments lately have kind of helped out some of the West here, but let's just say it's a little draining on the body when you actually let loose a little.
Mm.
Well, yeah, and weather manipulation out there. I heard some speculations regarding that, and you know,
Weather manipulation and counter manipulation always go hand in hand, but
yeah,
Well, it doesn't matter. They're manipulating everything everywhere. I mean, I pay more attention to not as much as I should. This is pretty stupid, but I bought ketchup today at the grocery store, and just looking at that label, you would expect it to be tomatoes, vinegar, and like some seasoning. Well, the ketchup I bought, and I didn't check the label. I admit, but it had this one has high fructose corn syrup in it and corn syrup.
well, yeah, and as I told you, it's not unexpected at this point. This is why the discussions about the manipulation of the DNA of the corn is so relevant, because they literally have introduced corn syrup into just about anything that's packaged or manufactured as a foodstuff, as it were. And you would kind of expect that something as basic as ketchup might not be all that complex or filled with chemicals, but it is. And but this is why I was pointing out to you the difference, and but it is the price. It is the price. This is why, and of course it's a lot cheaper when you have subsidized corn and and GMO'd crap and extra syrups to add to things that seem to be very basic.
It's like how Europeans getting its GMOs shut back right down at the start too.
Well, what country has like absolutely no like health issues? Is it Greece?
Oh, what country doesn't have very much in health problems?
Yeah, because of their food. I thought it was Greece.
Greece is okay, but I know Portugal does pretty good for itself as well.
Mm.
Yeah, the only problem that Portugal had for a time being was some of the radiation of Chernobyl for them. But
well, whether anybody knows it or not, the planet had the problem of Chernobyl for a while.
Mm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like they're taking all those dried caskets and they're just dumping them in the ocean now with the old plutonium, as it goes.
Well, continuously poisoning the ocean is, it's
that's okay.
It's
they're just taking the full barrels and they're just dumping them over right now.
Oh, why not? It's standard operating procedure. We'll dump it in the ocean. We'll never see it again. The ocean's bottomless after all, Hector. So,
yeah, it'll just float up on,
let's just say the stuff that was already filtered once, but yet is the stronger and more concentrated stuff that we're throwing back in. That's the kicker.
Yeah, and this is why I'm starting to see the validity behind those that pretty much want to see us gather up a few large spaceships and take off. Noah's Ark to escape the great flood of contamination throughout the planet, right?
Don't remind me of that project lately. I know there is a project like that's been getting more word around, which I've been really. Oh boy. But you've probably seen how Protest Central over Europe is working out. But
well, and I'm wondering also what happened to the Ebola narrative. Nobody's bothering with that anymore. It was supposed to be the great threat to humanity, as produced by those who brought you your previous 5 boogeymen.
That's because Bill Cosby was busy doing things he wasn't supposed to.
But Bill Cosby isn't enough to wipe out the Ebola narrative in the natural order of things. I mean,
apparently it was.
Well, with the Ebola narrative lately, they've been swinging that more towards Asia and all that with them lately. With that, and I know, thinking of someone just getting all of a sudden stricken with Ebola in Geneva, Switzerland, come up also as well. Kind of oddball itself, and it's like a head worker. Oh, makes you wonder.
Well, I don't know. I'm not even looking at it as far as the legitimate, actual spreading of the disease or anything like that. I'm looking at it as the thing that the information agencies seized upon for a little while to keep the level of tension up. And of course, exactly as I believed it would happen, they sort of abandoned it. In favor of the other nonsense.
Well, what nonsense I've been seeing lately is not quite nonsense, but the Australia syndrome lately that's been going on. I should say it's really Tokyo syndrome. It's like,
what's that?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, what is that? Because I don't know.
Let's just say laws that kind of strip the rights of people to where they can't speak anymore and anything's considered state secrets again. Where it's like triple predicate and you put into jail. It's like how the whole doctors talk about Fukushima, you go to jail for a while. With that narrative in Australia that hit. I know it also hit Spain lately, and I know it hit Turkey, but Turkey, it's been getting a little bit more cured lately. In Spain, I think you're probably going to see some interesting stuff over the next few weeks about that. I know Greece has been going around. It's a batch of that.
Well, let me ask you about this, Hector, because this has been a weird thing that's been coming up lately in my little feeds and all that. People that identify themselves as members of Anonymous on the Facebook platform, as it were. Really trying to encourage and look for another social networking platform, right? Because these new standards are going to come in and at the beginning of January. The new privacy agreement and all that stuff happens at the beginning of January. Are you hearing about any of these migrations and such? I mean,
I've been hearing migrations that people that are going off YouTube and all that, and I've been seeing a lot of different migrations lately with something.
Well, what are they doing as an alternative to YouTube?
Well, some are making their own smaller end stuff and all. I remember there was one friend of mine mentioned that I know Dutch left YouTube on some things, and he has it over on another site now. It starts with the... What was the name of the site? It started with the TEKKIT or something like that. And I can't remember the full name, but I'll look it up for you right after the show if I can remember what it was. But it was interesting how some of the activists have been going over to this site as well with certain people I've been seeing, but I keep in question about the site. So, but I've been seeing smaller offshoot sites like that lately.
Well, see, I don't have a place to store my YouTube stuff, so I was curious about that. And I was also thinking about the people that are talking about getting themselves off of Facebook and abandoning it, as of January 1st and all that because of the change in policy. Isn't that just a bit pointless at this point? Because I mean, it's not like all the stuff that you've already done hasn't been databased and well documented elsewhere. No matter what you thought you deleted,
Well, here's something that most people tend not to think about, but most kids on Facebook have abandoned it for the other ones that they went with. And usually where the kids go, usually where the parents go. Get what I mean?
Right.
Well, right, but I'm wondering, what the big winner is going to be. I mean, you got any ideas? I mean, I've seen the scene.is has been suggested to me. Vince was talking about one earlier.
It's up in the air for a lot of them, to where it's like, I have seen 70 offhand for people migrating from. And then I've been seeing a few foreign companies getting involved too, to where it's like I've been seeing some off-volley ones from the Chinese State Department too. So it's like, who's having fun with these certain ones? And I've been keeping an eye on certain ones too. Where it's like,
yeah, Vince was talking about worldtruth.org or something like that as a social networking site.
Oh, yeah, that's one possibility that I've seen to where that has been a pretty growing one for a while now. So I've been seeing some more quiet and personal ones, but I don't know all of them myself either. So I know the anti-media has their own things.
You know what? Maybe I should try and get in touch with Burnaby then and ask him, because I don't know what I'm exactly going to do as of January 1st, but I figure if you're going to get hammered because of the stuff you've done on Facebook, or there's going to be problems or whatever you've already done is part of the database. So, it's already been captured, as it were, regardless of what you delete. So, I mean, it doesn't seem to me as though it's going to change very much if people migrate at this point, right?
Yeah, I know probably about half a year to a year ago, a lot of kids migrated to one other site, but I'm just keeping an eye on that one site, and it's been fizzling out to a new one. But if it works out the way I think it's going to work out, the next big one where it'll hit like another wave in that for probably 6 months and all that, it will be interesting if it does or not, but I'll just leave it how it goes.
Is MySpace still even around or no?
Yeah, it exists.
Oh, does it?
It exists, but it's like a Hextrolotron anymore, like how 4chan is.
Yeah, it's
I don't know, I'm kind of tired of Facebook. Every time I put my page on, I got an advertisement for something that I'm not even interested in.
Well, forget the ads. You know what's been happening to me? I use Facebook essentially just to make connections with people, for my show. I really wasn't all that interested in using Facebook prior to doing my show. And now I have 3 pages on there to try and promote what I'm doing and stuff like that, right? So here's the thing about Facebook. Nowadays, there's this new thing that's been happening to me ever since the, holiday season started to kick in.
Oh, the drunk AI syndrome. Okay.
No, what's going on is ever since the holiday season, I keep getting tagged in these posts, and people are planting things on my timeline, which most commonly I keep getting, buy an NFL jersey, Black Friday specials, after Black Friday. So, buy NFL gear, buy your fake gladiator crap. I posted earlier today. I was like, will somebody please stop adding me into these lists so that I don't keep getting it? Because I'm unfollowing people, removing the tags, removing the posts. But in the time I was trying to build a little promotional thing for tonight's show, which didn't take too long to make it. But in that short amount of time, I had 8 separate, big, huge, cross-tagged ads that, me and 2,000 other people were tagged to go buy, some sort of NFL merchandise.
Oh, yeah, to where they use you as merchandise, as a merchandiser, as a seller and all that?
But no, they're offering me a special because I was tagged in a post with 2,000 other people.
Right.
And I got 8 of them in the 20 minutes that I'm trying to type out the announcement for the show.
Oh yeah, that sounds like Google's, similar to Google's shotgun API for copyright. It sounds similar to that.
Yeah, but it's all about selling me football jerseys.
I think it's called Handbot Shotgun.
So what are they doing? You Google something on your computer, and then you go into your Facebook, and Google talks to Facebook, and...
Well, all that stuff is interactive now, so that you get advertising based on the stuff you searched and everything else. I mean,
for crying out loud.
No, if I go and for instance, all the time, I get an ad when somebody puts out a new JFK book, because I'm constantly searching JFK stuff. I go to, a totally unrelated site to go look at, a news clip or whatever, and automatically the flash pop-up will come up, here's a new JFK documentary as put out by the History Channel.
Oh, no shit.
Buy it on Amazon, whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah, the targeted advertising when it comes to that portion. But yeah.
Right, but what's pissing me off is I don't look at anything football related. I haven't watched football except for a couple of minutes that Kim made me watch. It's kind of backwards.
I didn't make you do anything.
Okay, but you kind of did. But the thing is...
All right, Mr. Simpsons.
Yes, I love cartoons. I love cartoons, man.
I'm not going to step on this one. So.
Oh, you want to step out of this one? Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm glad you got my back.
I'm sorry.
But, and I like cartoons. And you know what? They're both about as relevant to our everyday lives as each other. So there you go. But the thing is, I find cartoons entertaining. Okay.
And I find football entertaining.
Wonderful.
All right, then.
Okay.
Onward and upward.
Yes, but the thing is, I don't search anything football related. I don't look for football stuff. She doesn't even go on the computer and look at football stuff. But for some reason or other, I am on this massive master list for buying NFL jerseys.
Well, okay, if you watch it's like anything with your TV that you watch is connected to that access too. You know that.
Oh, yeah, but here's the thing.
I don't get any advertisement for the cooking channel.
Well, the television that you're using at this point is lower tech, so it's not tied to it directly. This new Windows...
well, our big one's in for repair, so when we get that one back, we'll start getting the
the new Windows and the HP and all that.
Not that I want them, but...
No, that's what'll happen because of the HP thing and the new Windows system and all that. The new Microsoft crap. What'll happen is it'll tie the two objects together, whether you want it to or not, and it relates to each other. There's like a wireless connection.
Well, that TV that we have, you can go on YouTube on that.
Yeah, it's a smarter TV, which means that it has interconnectivity.
That's scary in itself, a smarter TV.
It has interconnectivity with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Looks like France had another caught shooting people gun.
What happened? What did you say, Hector? I didn't hear you.
Oh, looks like another French cop shot another person in France again. It reminds me of like
those French people.
Hey,
I'm French, so I can say that.
Okay. Well, it reminds me of how...
Wait a minute, Hector, you're part Froggy too?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just put myself on out there and I'm hanging all by myself. Wow. Thanks for the backup, man.
No, I'm more of what you call the Irish German Indian. Turks and picks and sort of deal.
Oh, I have Cherokee Indian in me.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know how that happened. But it did.
Well, you know how it happened.
Well, I know how it happened, but whatever. Never mind. Well, I'm going to get that porn guy on, too, one night, I think. The Church from Satan guy who's also a porn star.
Yeah, like
Kim... We're going to have a conversation.
Kim is so upset about the fact... I was going to say you're so upset about the fact that we haven't gotten that many callers that you're ready to inflict the Church of Satan guy on the UCY audience one more time. Except this time, instead of discussing the Church of Satan,
we're going to go into pornography.
She's going to talk to him about his life as a porno actor.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Anywho.
We'll see if that evokes a response.
I don't care if it doesn't, because I'll enjoy myself.
See, that's what you got to do, is just kind of do your thing, and you know what? If they join in, they do, and if they don't, they don't. I mean, I live for my angry messages, so it's great.
I don't.
Except I am getting annoyed at the, no matter what I'm talking about, Well,
I have some dancing Israelis hidden in the cabinet in the kitchen.
Awesome.
They're in there. They're going to entertain me later.
Are they going to beat you unmerciful?
They just might.
And rub sand all over your ass neck?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm lucky.
It reminds me of like a French cook versus a cop. Oh boy.
A French cook? Who'd he get? That Wolf Pepin did, or what? What's his name? Oh no, Jacques Pepin. I haven't seen that guy in a long time on television. That's another rabbit hole. My Jeep's running out of gas. I'm not going to be able to make it to that one.
I am Inspector Clouseau. I am here to abuse you.
Oh
God, we're getting...
Thank goodness we only have 10 minutes left. I think my eyes are burning.
Ribbit.
Stop it. You like that ribbit too, so you better stop it.
Ribbit.
Me too.
You know what it is? I'm totally out. Okay, we got woke up early.
Way too early.
We got woke up really early because Frankie just did not wish to sleep through the night, and
yeah.
Sleep through the night? It was morning, 3 a.m. What in the world?
Well, as I said, he didn't want to sleep through the dark time.
But old people don't have babies.
Well, it's like trying to put up a 16-year-old. Oh, God.
My brother was 16-year-old. Well, no, that's not true either. Never mind.
Not a 16-year-old female. No, I'll keep the baby.
No. You couldn't pay me enough money to ever go back to be a 16-year-old. God, no.
Oh, yeah.
Time of my life.
See, I was enjoying it because I was, I was a musician.
All right, you need to stop right now.
Look, I had a good time when I was 16. Yeah. I mean, after I stopped getting arrested and things, I, was doing pretty well.
No, I wait to get arrested when I'm an adult, for my tag being expired.
Well, it's like when your daughter is getting bugged by the Russian police now and then. There's always gets annoying as enough as those.
But you got a whole crazy nexus of things going on. I mean, I shudder to even begin to start to explain any of that stuff. One of these days, I would love to do a show on all these things that bring all this wild stuff that's gone on with you all together in one place. But man, I don't know. I don't know if the listener could handle it. Because after all, they might start calling in and going, "So, Hector, what about the dancing Israelis?"
I told you, they're hiding in the kitchen.
Well, it's like...
Later on's entertainment.
But did they go to physical therapy? Did they lose their glasses and their shoes?
Oh, no. Shoes again?
They poured hot oil all down my back and it went to my ass.
You need to wait for the guy from the Church of Satan to talk about oil pouring. Come on now.
I don't know if he's into the sadomasochistic thing. He was doing fetish porn, if I remember correctly. I got to think about that, though. I can't remember what he said exactly, but he did describe it. And then he asked the one lady who called up and was screaming about, to hell with your devil or whatever.
Yeah, it reminds me of something real goofy this week that if people actually would notice anything.
What, Christmas time with Krampus? What?
Not quite. Think of a new model going pantsless down New York and her pants were painted on her. Oh, God.
Oh.
We saw painted on clothing in the 90s, in certain areas.
I know, but just funny going down New York City. It's where it's like, would anybody notice it if they did or not?
Dude, no, because I used to live in the East Village. You want to see something amazing and incredible? Go to the East Village on Halloween.
You don't even have to go to the East Village. Go to Walmart. Oh, my God.
Yeah, but see, I'm trying to avoid that, Okay.
I wonder to myself, first of all, you shouldn't be wearing pants like that. Number one. And did you even look at yourself in a mirror before you walked out of the house? Good Lord.
Well, and the bread you were baking in those shoes has apparently runneth over because
Okay. That's
but there is bizarre stuff, man. I mean, like, I've seen some weird stuff at Walmart, that's true. But you should have seen the Halloween parades in the East Village, man. I used to live right by Alphabet City.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of one district in San Diego that always does that sort of deal every year, and then also one district in Vegas every year.
Oh, but dude, the freak shows in the really truly, and I'm being kind when I'm calling them freak shows that I used to see in Manhattan, absolutely pale in comparison to just any given freaking Thursday in Los Angeles. I mean,
and then you got the Seaside Heights Boardwalk in New Jersey.
Yeah, but see, again, that's nothing. It was like the residual outcasts with the punk rockers and the metal kids and stuff, and it wasn't that big a deal.
Well, I'm sorry, but if a 450-pound woman is wearing a bikini bathing suit, I wish I could take my eyeballs out of my head and put them in my pocket.
Yeah, but that's not relevant to the area. That's just look, if you saw that 450-pound woman in Alabama, she'd still be just as messed up. It's just she might be arguing over her baby daddy at the laundromat or something.
I'm just saying, some things are better left unseen.
Yeah.
It's
like a burned imprint on my brain.
Yeah, it's like either that or have a drone crash in your ponytail sometimes. Ouch!
Well, we got about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, so...
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's alright.
Don't be sorry, man. You know what?
Thank you for calling, because I was running out of things to say. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now.
No, she didn't prepare her notes, and as I said, we didn't get much sleep, and it is what it is. And plus, I'm like losing my voice, so... But didn't have any notes for this one or anything else. But
because I was hoping that my friends in the chat room would call me and talk to me.
But they might beat you unmerciful.
Maybe. Well, whatever.
And your shoes and your glasses might fall off.
I don't wear shoes, so I don't have that problem.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, they might be mean to you and stick pine cones in your ass.
Oh, that wouldn't be fun.
I bet nobody remembers the Jerky Boys anymore.
Well, before we leave, I just want to wish everybody, if they celebrate Christmas, a very Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good time with your family or whatever it is you plan to do. Just stay safe. And
Harambe for Kwanzaa.
What?
Merry Christmas.
Happy New... No, I'll be back on.
Happy Hanukkah.
Whatever you celebrate, I hope you enjoy it and stay safe.
Whatever, enjoy it. Be decent to each other.
Don't kill each other at the dinner table.
Well, at least don't kill each other for somebody else's cause.
Yeah, just have a good harmonic convergence.
I always hate those holiday dinners.
He said have a good harmonic convergence.
That's awesome.
I love that. Hecty, I'm going to steal that, brother.
Okay.
Have a good harmonic convergence. And as you seep into the mind's eye, prepare yourself.
Wow.
I know where that comes from.
You got plans for the... Well, I don't know what you celebrate, but you have any plans?
Let's just say family celebrates all sorts of different things, so
that's cool.
I'm probably going to celebrate Christmas with family, probably, myself personally. And
an
then,
eclectic kind of holiday.
Yeah, I know. Let's just say having family that's in the Mormon church and Jehovah's Witnesses, some Buddhists, a mix of everything, and Russian Baptist.
Well, I say this, try to be kind and decent to one another wherever you may be and whoever you may be with.
Yes, please.
And that is all there is to that.
I agree.
So you got something that you want to close out with?
Nope, not really.
Nope, not really.
My pillow. Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you, chat room. And we'll see you next Saturday.
Good show.
And they don't beat me unmerciful.